Welcome to the 2717 podcast. I'm Javier, an authentic wedding filmmaker.
And I'm Ashley, a passionate wedding photographer.
We're here to bring Proverbs 27:17 to the wedding industry. As iron sharpens iron,
so one person sharpens another. In this fun series, we're all about sharing experiences and building a community.
Expect heartfelt stories, creative inspiration, and some amazing behind-the-scene moments.
Plus, insights from some truly inspiring guests.
Tune in to connect with us, spark your creativity,
and be a part of a supportive community.
You're listening to the 2717 podcast.
Planning your wedding isn't just about choosing a venue, it's about finding the perfect backdrop for one of the most meaningful moments of your life. That's where Juliana Estate comes in. Nestled in the heart of Lakeland, this elegant estate gives you that classic scenic charm, like a movie set, but it's all yours. Think lush greenery, romantic gardens, and plenty of room for unforgettable moments with the people you love the most. It's a place where every detail feels personal because it's not just a venue. It's where your story begins. See how Juliana Estate can make your wedding day truly yours at julianaestate.com. Thanks for sponsoring today's podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 2717 podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Colleen. She is the owner of Velzy, a content creator here in Florida. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me. So good.
Good. We want to dive into how you got into content creating first, because your story is really beautiful.
I think when people hear content creator, they think girl selling something on the internet, like / influencer or making things that are going on the internet, content for the internet. And I think that on a wedding day, being a wedding content creator has more to do with having the phone in the hand and creating or capturing for them their day the way they would on a normal day capture their day. So it's not so much creating content for them or thinking that they're going to put it on the internet as much as it is
preserving the memory.
Preserving it the way they do sort of organically in their day-to-day life, as opposed
absolutely.
Okay, so there's that. So I am a mom. I have 6 children. I stayed home with them for 20 years. I'm not going to cry this whole time, am I? That has been like my joy and my pleasure of my life to do that. And I did creative things on the side while I was being a mom, but that's been what I've done. So I sort of fell into this season of life where I have time on my hands and was thinking, maybe I would like to do something in the event space, because I have always had little businesses along the way, making cakes for weddings, helping others who had wedding design kind of I had a party business, just all the things. I also was like costume mistress for 10 plus years for my kids' dance. So I've just always been creative, and I've always, like backstage at the Nutcracker, years and years and years of doing that and managing hundreds of little ladies, about to hit the stage, all the nerves, all those things are very natural for me. I have 5 daughters and 1 son. So that's me. Start doing weddings, working for other people, showing up on the scene, and realize what I really love is just being able to be a blessing, I suppose, on that day. And also I'm always seeing it through their eyes and wanting to capture it. Backtrack, my husband's like an entrepreneur. He's a chiropractor, so he's always had his own business, and I've always kind of helped with the social media and all that. So there's that. I find that a creative outlet and a way to really communicate to an audience. I think that's the most important part is, who are you speaking to and what do they want to know or what do they want to see, and figuring out how to meet them there, I suppose. So, I was working with a planner and I was like, hey, can I, your beautiful wedding website doesn't communicate to who you're trying to talk to. You're on Facebook and it's pretty with all these pretty weddings, but you're not really sharing who you are or what makes you special. Can I help you? So I kind of just started capturing her day, showing her in motion and, showing what a wedding day actually looks like and what a planner's role is in that. And I found that really satisfying because I didn't find it difficult to communicate that. And she got really good results.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I I agree with what you said in the beginning, where it's like it kind of needs a new name, because, you know, you do think of it more so as like you're creating content like for the internet and stuff like that, without kind of reeling it back in of like, this is what I have in my pocket 24/7 that I take all of my normal photos on of my day-to-day life. And on my wedding day, I don't want to be worried about doing that. And I want someone to do it for me and have something that, yes, we still have like our higher quality photo and video, but we also have something that just like feels more normal in a day that is really extravagant, but also gives some normalcy to it too. One of my really good friends, actually, she got married and they had an amazing photographer and videographer, and they actually have this one photo, and it's actually my favorite photo from their like wedding day, and they post it all the time. And it's back when they were in a back room or something together, and I think his best man was there and took the picture on his iPhone. And it's him like sitting on the floor, and she's like laying back in his lap with her like full princess dress. Her like shoes are corked, and she's like looking up at him, and it's just the cutest photo. So I don't know. I feel like there is a gap in the industry where it's like, you know, this is something that is kind of normalized in our society, like normal to us. And like, you don't, not that I'm hating on our businesses, but like, you don't need, I feel like the true story is you don't need like high quality to capture real moments and emotions. Like, it's helpful, and it's helpful to have a trained eye. Look at Hobby's like, I'm about to come in hot.
I understand what you're saying though. I understand what you're saying.
One of my other friends had said this, where she's like, sometimes it's the person who took it that means the most. And sometimes it's those quiet moments where, you know, nothing's really happening and it's just normal, but they're little and they're meaningful and they're real. And
I was going to jump in and say where it's like, it goes to the intentionality of why you're there and how you're doing and your approach to it, because the approach is everything, right? And if
absolutely.
In everything that we do, for example, we categorize photographers being editorial or documentary and all these, and same thing for videographers. But it looks like in terms of content creation, you do have this stereotype in terms of, okay, we're just creating content and we're going to create these reels and be able to share it. And it has a stigma to it where, like, if a planner or a videographer, even photographers will look at it, it's like, okay, what is it exactly that they're providing? And I love how you mentioned is that, look, based on your approach, right? Because this isn't an industry standard.
No, I don't think it is.
And it's not. And it falls back to, one, your perspective, being a mom, raising 6 kids, doing all the events, seeing your experiences that you've gone through with your children. It gives you a different perspective now being here at weddings.
Yeah.
And that's huge right there. And that's why even for myself and my approach, it's like, okay, let's keep it real about what this day is. This is a wedding day. It's a celebration. It's a beautiful day, but it's not just a production. You know, it's not something just so that we can capture, make it look pretty and put out there to the world. And that's the biggest part where I saw your approach is more about, look, this is the foundation. And the cool thing that I noticed when you're speaking is that you have like a different perspective from Ashley, for myself, because you're either behind us when we were actually working on that wedding day, that you get to see the full picture in a broader scope. And then you get to see how it really unfolds. And you get to see, one, how the vendors work and how they treat their couples. And also you get to see how the couple and the family get to enjoy that day themselves.
Yeah.
And that's where I really harp on, is where it's like, where it's just that high quality photos or high quality video. My thing is always like, what's your approach to it? What's your why and your intentionality behind what you're doing? Because it makes the world of a difference for everybody there on that day.
Absolutely. And I mean, even just which clients choose you based on what you're offering and what your perspective is, because the truth is we're all different, right? So, you know, you don't lose out if someone doesn't choose you for the service because you weren't the person who was best for their job, right? So I feel like that's where clarifying what it is I'm doing as far as being a content creator, so that couples who are like, oh, is that something we want, you know, can give a good decision about is that something that they want, and why would they want that on their day? You know, is it because someone told them they had to have it? Is it because they think they're going to do a bunch of trends, TikTok trends? Or is it because, you know, they they understand that their wedding day is every person that's important to them there in one place, assembled to celebrate their love. And, they don't want to miss a moment of that. They really want to be able to, and they're all going to be together the day after, in their Airbnbs and their hotels and having breakfast together the next day. And they want to be able to debrief and look through. And, that's something that I think is one of the fun parts that I offer is within 24 hours, and I try my best to do it as early as possible. They have the whole raw, camera roll full. They get to look back and they get to, see what each other was experiencing throughout the day. And it's just such a fun little piece to a wedding day, I think.
I love what you said there too as well, where you get to give them that instant gratification afterwards, because it's not like you're creating in terms of polishing this film or this trend. You're sharing what they've already gone through, what they experienced, but they haven't seen in this perspective. And that's a beautiful thing, where it's like, okay, my purpose, it's a little bit different in terms of, okay, what I'm creating, they want something artistic that can tell a narrative or a story. Ashley provides these beautiful, photos that are, worthy of printing and putting up in your home and decorating and be able to look back on, and gives a sense of emotion. And each of us have a purpose on these days because you provide a different perspective to that day and how it's seen. I know for when it comes to you and you're saying like content creation, one is not standard in the quotes, right? I know for myself, what really this past year, I would say last year, really bugged me was like, okay, why are we pushing this narrative in terms of like, let's say for filmmakers, wedding filmmakers, like, okay, you got to be this luxury wedding filmmaker. You got to do this, be that. And it's like, that's not really how this industry should be, right? When it comes to content creation, I've experienced times where I've seen planners be like, man, why do they have a content creator when they already got a videographer? It doesn't make sense, right? Or for example, maybe the approach is like, it provides that different perspective. Like for myself, I'll speak for myself as a wedding filmmaker. It's like, okay, it's going to take some time to get the deliverables back. I'm going to create it in a different manner. Like, okay, I'll make it very much movie-like, long. Like, you're going to have beautiful ceremony, beautiful speeches. But in terms of in the aspect that you provide that content creation, you get to provide what I wouldn't be able to if I'm focused on 4 different cameras and 4 different angles. Like I'm looking for people in terms of, hey, I'm looking for some reactions. But the nice thing is when you're simplified with one camera, you get to look around, scope on the people. You're not worried about capturing the whole ceremony. If they have a videographer, that's their job, is to capture that. But then you get to look for those real reactions, those real moments that would have otherwise been missed.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like sometimes it warrants, like I'm moved back and forth, like pan quickly over here because something cute is happening in 2 places, and it's like a little bit rough. It's not beautifully polished, but it's that moment.
That's the purpose.
Someone was right positioned where they could get that and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really fun to be able to have those little moments for them to look back on.
How's your experience been being a fairly new thing like content creation? I feel like I think the first experience was maybe 2023 was when actually we ended up not myself personally, but a team of mine was there and we got to work with you. And that was the very first experience. And they had great reviews to say about you when they worked. And so my question would be, it's like, what's been your experience now that it's 2025, you've done it for some time, working with photographers, videographers, being in those spaces? Because I've experienced and heard from different sides. So I really would love to be able to get your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm older, so I have that going for me, that I'm not necessarily showing up on wedding day feeling like everyone is against me or needing me to be a certain thing. Like I'm just in a different stage of life. So I really show up wanting to be a blessing in every aspect. So I'm like, I'm going to meet that photo and video team and I'm going to win their hearts because I'm there to be part of the team. I'm there to be like fun, encouraging, supportive, helpful. That's it. Like that's what I'm there for the families, for the other vendors, for the couples. So that's kind of been how I've approached it. I've definitely tried to ignore when I can tell that there's negative energy or negative, like, what's she doing here? What's the point of that? Or like standing in front of me intentionally and those kind of things, which is, I just think of that as like, yeah, y'all were paid to do like a really important job today and capture that. And I have told my couples that I will always let you guys in first. Like I will always, not go in front of you if I can avoid it. Sometimes I don't know who's behind me and, whatever. But so I just take that as, we're doing a job here. We're all working for the same goal, which is to support and to capture and, be there to celebrate this couple. So
yeah. And I feel like at the end of the day, like if the couple hired you and wanted you to be there, like that makes you just as important too. And like, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that's a sad thing for other vendors to like, I don't know, that makes my heart hurt. Where it's like other vendors like purposely go in front or like, cause like you said, it's like, I want to be a team player, just like with photo video teams. It's like, I'm trying just as hard to be a team with you. Why not with, as the industry evolves, with somebody else? Like, yes, it can be a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but that's how many cooks that couple wanted to be in the kitchen.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And I'm finding it's really interesting because everyone who is in literally any industry at this point needs to be also a content creator, right? Like no matter what you're doing in your job, if you're working for yourself, you are needing to also share what you do and how you do it and why it would be of value to the people who you want to attract. So, I am a content creator on a wedding day, perhaps with also a bartender who's, getting her content as she's, setting up or whatever, or a DJ. Like literally everyone who's there on a wedding day is an entrepreneur who's bringing their service that day and also needs some footage of themselves doing it so couples can, build some trust with them. So I kind of take it upon myself to try my very hardest to notice them, recognize what beautiful work they're doing, and, send a little something to them too. Like, here's some content for you. I don't know. I think otherwise, the other thing that happens is, they're like, they want that same shot that I am in the position to get. And we don't need 6 people with iPhones in the same spot all the time, right? So I think that's another thing that's kind of questionable in this like wedding content creator world is, are you going to share the content with other people? Are you going to charge them for it or whatever? And I just think, well, if I'm there and I'm in the position, then I want to be able to,
be the blessing. It's really interesting. It's really tough because, like, for example, like you would do a photo, right? You would share your gallery with the planner and share with the florist, and that way they can use it, put it out there, and then ultimately it goes back to you to tag you on
exactly.
it. Same thing there too as well with you as well.
That's the tricky part right now is that I think that because everyone has a phone and everyone feels that they can get their, they know what they want in their content or whatever, which I respect that. But then if they receive the content, the tagging, okay, but you didn't take it, and it's okay that you're using it. I'm so thrilled you're using it and that you liked it enough to share it on your page is really a compliment. But, that was what I was there for that day. And I am a creative person. So my little capturing whatever is my eye and my heart behind it, and that matters to me. So all I want is like, thanks Velzy Co for the and then I'll share it, and then it goes farther for you, because I think for the most part the people who are looking at my page are the same people that you would like were looking at your page. So it's very reciprocal, the whole sharing.
Very much. One of the biggest ways I've seen at least to combat that, because video as well, like it's just it's adding as collaborators to the certain vendors that I know that normally wouldn't get any content, whether it be like a DJ or anything. I'm like, if their entrance of that video is everybody being hype and having a good time, Like, I'm going to add just collaborator to show like, oh, he was a great DJ. Look how these people are just having so much fun. Or if there is a specific vendor that you're creating that content, like, I'm going to add just collaborator. You can accept it or not. I'm going to post it regardless.
Yeah.
But there was value when you came and performed at this event and it was beautiful. I'm just sharing it to the world. I'm adding you, so you can either accept it or not. But
I love that collaboration feature. I think
Very
it's
much.
so
Huge.
so great.
it's a great
game
way
changer.
to connect with the different audiences, and then vendors can appreciate it. Like, all right, that's one less thing I got to worry about as an entrepreneur. If I know, like, hey, we're working with Colleen and she's taking care of us. Like, okay, if she shares maybe a few, perfect. If it comes right, but at the end of the day, it's been a very, I would say, like, it's been very interesting to see like how the wedding industry as a whole has been changing and evolving, because in terms of, I would say, even videographers, like, really was like, all right, what's the purpose of them having you at the wedding?
I mean, I've lived through that because I was married in 1999. So I have, my aunt set up a big video thing at the back on a tripod, and I have the full ceremony length VHS somewhere from my wedding day. And that was like extravagant that I even had that, because nobody had, really was
Exactly.
doing that. So yeah.
It's one of those things where it's evolving, and the need and the purpose behind it. If you think of a wedding, you think of your venue, your date, and a photographer, like priorities list, right? And then you start thinking about what other vendors can I have? Do I have enough for video? To have, now we add content creator to as well. And one thing I would love to do and really, really speak about is talking about, all right, what's the differences? And you hinted at it, but talking a little bit more into it. Okay, we have a videographer, and do we also need a content creator, or do we got a content creator? And then do we need a videographer? What's really the difference between the two? I'd love to hear your thoughts about
Yeah.
it.
I mean, well, technically speaking, you have cajillions of dollars worth of equipment when you bring a videographer on. You've got really gorgeous images, and then that on the back end there's going to be a lot of editing and the storytelling part of it, which I appreciate greatly. It's a huge undertaking, and it takes the months that they take because of that. So I think to have a beautiful piece of art that you can look back at your wedding day, that's what you're getting with a videographer, is that beautiful curated, I don't want to say movie, but kind of is a short movie of your own story, a film. So I'm not doing that. I'm showing up, and literally for the 8 to 10 hours that I'm with you, I'm recording everything. I am little video clips of, mom untangling the necklace, and someone straightening grandpa's tie, auntie straightening grandpa's tie, and 6 media people all angling on the couple, but here's the couple, and then here's the people who showed up on your day to capture you, and how they're all working together, And one wedding I did up in New York, there was ice ice broken up. I have this video of the couple is beautiful there, but in order to get the shot that I think it was a photographer, maybe 2 photographers, in order to get the shot, they were standing on ice, like precariously, and it was tricky, and she kind of fell at one point, and that's the stuff that happened in that moment. The couple saw it happen. I just was videoing it at the time, right, with my phone, and that ended up being an adorable moment for them to remember and look back, them laughing, photographer laughing, whatever. So just that kind of stuff, because, we get that stuff in our everyday. We record those little random silly moments of our day, and, here's one of your most special days in your life, and you are trusting other people to capture your day. But it's going to be the money shots more so. And I mean, obviously you guys are also looking for the emotion and capturing the people celebrating on that day. But I'm like also capturing the little in-betweens. If that
Exactly.
makes sense.
Oh yeah, and what I love about it, like in my head, I was just thinking is it's where like okay, we're polished, but then we get the authentic behind the scenes process of everything on
Yeah.
that day. How is it really going? Because, for example, as Ashley or myself, when we capture, we can shape the narrative however we want, right? But then when you have the behind the scenes, like no, this is how it really unfolded, and this is how that day was and the process behind it, whether it's on the bride side of the family or the groom side of the family or even the vendors behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to be able to appreciate what really went on that wedding day.
Yeah.
Where the intent, like you mentioned, is just preserving all the moments that in between moments that happen. And it's very different from what I would say I would do from a wedding filmmaker standpoint, where I think about the in between moments. I'm focused on the couples, and I'm focusing who are going to be my supporting characters to build this film up. You're right, and I do capture raw moments, but if they don't fit within that narrative, I don't use them for the film. Couple still gets it as a raw moment, and it's included in there. But if it's not appropriate, things it can be done, but I can still send and preserve that moment to them. Where I love where when you have it, like, all right, you're providing way more perspective into it. There's only so many cameras I can have, so many people I can have and move freely, because my responsibility is to create something very artistic,
Yeah.
something very beautiful, and get those money shots. But what I love what you have that ability to move around, see what's really going on, capture things that, photo and video haven't even looked over here yet, or even capture this little in between. Maybe let me capture, I can let them know too as well. But if it's not,
Yeah.
I can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, no, I've found myself many times in a position where I'm the eyes for the media team a little bit, because, it's like the couples shoot, the portraits are happening. And I just look over and I see sister, who's bridesmaid, what do you call the best girl?
Maid of
Yeah,
honor.
maid of honor. Yes.
Maid of
Yeah.
honor. I'm like, not mother of the bride. Why can't I think of this? Maid of honor sitting there with the flower girl, who's her daughter, and there's something cutie pie happening over there.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, to the photographer, like, hey, look how cute, right? She shouldn't be looking over there because she's focusing on the couple, but she does have a second to get the shot, and I want the couple to have that shot. You know what I mean? I want that in the gallery because we're a team.
Yeah.
So
That's why I love having second shooters. They're the best. I especially because those are some of my favorite moments, like you had said, when like they're doing the zip up shot and there's the bridesmaids in the background. Or I just had a wedding. Yeah, it's like I just had a wedding this past Saturday where they did the first look with dad. But all of the bridesmaids were there, and like her mom was there, and they're all just bawling. So like he's bawling, and then they're all in the back bawling, and so it's like you're like do like going back and forth between them, because like that's real and that's what happened. And kind of like Javi said, like you can like with us, we can kind of narrate it how we want to narrate it, because mine doesn't have any motion or any audio. So like I'm just preserving a single still. So that's why, but I love having second shooters, because another example is I was doing like couples portraits, and the flower girls came out with some of the groomsmen, and that were his brothers, and they were all just like twirling around in their dresses, and I didn't even tell my second. She just went over there and she was capturing those like real moments and stuff like that. And now it's something really fun that they can have in their gallery that they can look back on and like be like, I didn't even know that happened. So yeah, no, they're a must. Second shooters are a must.
for sure. Yeah. No, I think having the content creator and a videographer, I've done both. And sometimes it has to do with the couple. They really truly want their day to be sort of unbothered with any, so there's me and a photographer, and the photographer and I have both been told, we want you to capture what's going on, but we really don't want to be told to pose at all, like to the extreme. They really are shy, and they don't want to be, getting captured. They don't want to feel like they're performing. So in those kind of arenas, it really isn't, they don't want a team there. They want everything back. So, in that case, then you really are just truly capturing it as it is without, any. And then there's the other where they do have a whole media team, and they're wanting to add as many different angles as they can. And yeah, I think that it makes a really nice full picture, and it takes the pressure off of you guys getting those galleries delivered, because, you know, they have that little peek at their day, and that keeps them busy. That gives them something to share. You know, if it's a wedding where it's destination and not everyone that they care about was there, then they have those things they can share, and they can go through it and relive it. While they wait for their, you know, final products to be delivered as well. It's just, it feels like a nice fit in for where we are right now with how our media has changed, really, you know, from the time where there was no video ever to now we've got these phones in our pockets, and that's part of our lifestyle, is to capture our lives.
Yeah, for sure. And even with sneak peeks too, like I do my hardest to get as many sneak peeks out to them as possible, but you know, you want to save some anticipation for the full gallery as well. So like I save some of those good photos for the full gallery, or like even some moments. Like I'll pick a couple here and there that I love and adore and think that they would really cherish like right now. But also having something like that where it's like they can see what they were doing all day, and they don't need these like sneak peeks of mine to include everything, because they know what's coming in the galleries from even like your perspective. You know what I mean? Because they have it and they're like, oh, I can look forward to that. And same thing with probably your teasers and your FOMO edits. If you want to talk on that, I don't want to speak for you, but like you don't include everything in those. So like it gets them excited for like what was captured and what they have to look forward to with us even. And like you said,
and I mean, they even get to see like, oh, I can't wait to see the photo and video of that.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Because they do know that mine's it's not edited, it's not, you know, it's very much the raw, but they can still see like that was a beautiful moment. I can't wait to see what the photographer got of that, you know.
Yeah,
there's
and
lots of conversations like that afterwards.
Yeah, and even I love what you said about the like photographer too on the ice. That is so funny, because I feel like all the like behind the scenes things of me too are probably so funny. I had one wedding where like her veil came off while they were like doing their dip kiss, and I like had to like kind of pull it out of the aisle and like wrapped it around me like while I'm shooting. And actually my second shooter got a photo of me like wrapped up all in the veil. But like stuff like that is funny for like even the couple to look back on too. So like having something like documented like that is really, really fun, and not at every wedding either. So
yeah, I once recorded myself like eating through a wedding, you know. It was just like the couple was really excited about all their different foods. So
I love that.
I was like taking shots of, you know, the different parts of their day, like, you know, from the perspective of a guest, like, you know. And I think I made a reel about, you know, oh, if you have coffee at your wedding, like when the cake comes out and the coffee, it's just like the best thing ever, right?
Yes.
And then fast forward, and then I had my like final planning call with the bride, and she's like, oh, and don't worry, I ordered the coffee cart, so make sure you get some coffee. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, the couples are so thankful for the people who come to support them on their day. And so I really like to try and give them little snippets of every person who's there contributing to the day, you know. So the bartender doing her thing, the setup, the planner, all those bits and pieces, and like a little bit of the personality of those people from behind the scenes is really fun to be able to provide. On the flip side, I think too, putting something out right away, like that night or the next day, like just a fast little snippet of that day, gives all those creatives who contributed to the day a chance to like share like this, look at this beautiful, you know, event that we were part of, and, you know, the couple and all of their people as well, like just a little something to share right away, you know, to celebrate their love and to take the pressure off everyone else who was there that day, and be able to put that out there, so y'all can just push share and be like, okay.
Yeah,
it makes kind of fun.
It does help, because one of the things, like even for myself, like you said, like every business there is creating their own content, and I know for myself, I'm like, oh man, now approach it like this year's philosophy is a little bit like, all right, we're gonna try to capture content as much as possible, but be much more like behind the scenes where they don't even know they're being captured, like with no phones, and like I have a bunch of gear, so obviously, but so I have the opportunity where it's like, okay, I mic up the bride and groom all day, so they're mic'd up, boom. Technology is very fascinating, because when you find the right tools, like, oh wow, like oh, I'm able to get some really cool content. I don't know if you saw the one I shared recently where the bride's shoes fell off as she was walking into the church.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ashley here, it's a big, huge thank you because she happened to be like right in the back because she was helping with me, and I was up the front, getting focused on the groom's reaction, and with her iPhone, she just like quickly filmed.
Yeah, I was
And-
like, I'm gonna get a cutie picture of them like coming in the church because like there was
I'm
kind
so
of
happy she
columns
did video,
blocking.
though.
Yeah, I know. Imagine I was giving a photo.
I'm like,
I was like, I'll just take a cute like BTS like video of her coming in the church. Like maybe you could post on your story or whatever.
yeah. And I'm like, you gave me 7 seconds of gold because like it was a real moment that happened. No one else, like I would have had the audio, but there was no one else there to be able to capture her walking in when that moment actually happened.
Yeah.
To preserve it. Like, sure, the audio is there. It had the groom. Like, and the cool part was I was able to sync everything up because I have her mic'd up. So I got the Chris audio, have his reaction, and then you can hear the background of everybody just laughing.
That's so fun.
And if that would have been possible, it's like sometimes where, I reference that it's saying like you can be in a position where photo and video would never be, that a moment can be happen that's unpredictable.
Yeah.
So like if we're all at the center of the aisle waiting for the bride to walk in, that moment would have just been missed.
Yeah.
Never captured, where it's like, all right, maybe photo video, it's at the front of the aisle, and the content creator is, we'll call it content creator, but what's the label
that
you like?
That is the name. I don't know how it's going to morph over the years into the right name.
Because for me,
I don't think it quite suits. It doesn't suit me at all.
Yeah, because when you think content creator, you think like you have a shot list of TikToks that you want to make to trendy sounds.
Yeah.
And some people do that too. Like, I mean, especially if you're more of a social media based bride.
Yeah.
And you want to do those fun things and you don't really have the time to like.
And I feel like it's
plan
going to
it.
evolve where, for example, first I'm a wedding photographer. Like, no, then I'm a luxury photographer, wedding photographer. Oh,
Right.
no, I'm a documentary. Or like,
Right, there'll
Yeah.
be labels to it.
And then
they'll eventually evolve into that too.
it
Just
will.
like with videographers, like there's videographers and there's filmmakers. And what's the difference between the two? Well, it's that edit, it's that final product. How is that final product put together? Is it an
Yeah.
actual story or a montage?
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen content creators who have videographer as in their title. Like they're
Yeah.
considering themselves videographers, which, I mean,
in
I guess
reality,
perspective is relative to what you believe is what you're,
yeah,
sharing. And in some ways it is video that you're,
Yup.
and I put together I put together reels, and I put a lot of heart into them. I certainly don't, use any kind of formula because every couple's story is so different. So there is that element of, creating the video.
Where even for myself, I always could categorize it, right? I think video is a very broad general. So you say videographer, it's like, all right, there's segments within that. Because a videographer is not only just skilled in one area of just capturing, no, they have to be skilled in editing, sound, and actually capturing the thing, whether it be with these type of cameras or whether it be with a cell phone. Like at the end of the day, you're telling a story. And so they call like a videographer almost like the jack of all trades. Then a filmmaker, a cinematographer is what you see when people create cinema, like movies, but they usually are focusing on that one thing. So cinematographers they call them director of photography in actual like film sets. And their priority is to capture the most beautiful shot and paint that picture and capture it. And so it's very
That's cool.
like,
I never knew the difference.
yeah, there's so much with it. And even like video is very technical and our minds are all technical and the whole side of it is so technical.
Yeah, it makes my head want to explode.
Seriously.
I'm like, how do you know all
Scary.
this stuff?
Like and we've
So
learned
scary.
all of it.
Yeah.
And like in real film sets you have sound that does it, right? That does it all for you. They'll have lighting and they call them so they'll do all this for you. As a videographer, you got to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
And so in weddings, I'm like,
Well,
yes.
and move around throughout the day. Like
Constantly.
have it all set up properly in all the different areas that it's needed. It's quite a feat. what
It really
videographers
is,
are
like-
Yeah.
doing.
The amount of times that Hobby's like, no, now, run. Like,
Like, it's
and I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry.
I got 3 rules. You got to be efficient, quick with what you're doing, be kind, respectful, and have a great eye as you're doing it. And that's with the whole video world, if you want to, create a polished image. And it's hard with weddings, right? Because you're not in a controlled environment.
No.
You're literally just reacting to what's happening, but you're learning how to anticipate that moment before it happens, and be as prepared as best as possible.
Yeah.
Even though there'll be things that are out of your control. And that moment I was speaking to you about, we literally arrived to that ceremony. So as soon, like, everybody's lined up, I'm with the bride, and it's like showtime. Like, wait, what? Like, we were supposed to have like 15 minutes to be able to set up our other cameras in sound to do that moment, and it wasn't there.
No.
And so we were like, all right, well, let's run, let's react, let's do it quick. All right, bride and groom are mic'd up, perfect. That's most important. We got audio there, check. Let's set up the other camera angles. This is why I love having headsets. Let's you do this, I do that, switch back and forth, communicate. And luckily she got that reaction. So it's like, through that mist of trouble we went through there, she was still able to capture that, and I was able to preserve that moment for the couple. And she's like, this is the essence of who we are. This is truly us, and there's so many moments throughout the wedding day. It's like keen. And I love what you mentioned, like, there's different couples where it's like, hey, we want more of in a way, it's like, we want it to look really polished and clean. We want it to feel artistic. So we want that side where, like, hey, we want to have our media team that's dedicated to making that day for us, like, come true. That part that we're looking forward to. And then there's other couples like, no, I just want you to capture me just being me.
Yeah.
And can you tell that story as best as possible?
Yeah.
And
that usually kind of last minute, they'll say like, oh, we just don't want to regret not having any movement or any motion on the day. Like,
yeah.
So we're adding the content creator. But, I really try and talk them through, like, you understand I'm using an iPhone. You understand it's not going to be a polished movie, but I will create some reels for you. And what you guys, like what you see on the Instagram, is obviously that's my place where I can sell.
Exactly.
Like, share what we do with people. So that's like a tiny bit, right? They all get a certain amount of, cute reels of their, I love doing a mother-daughter one, whatever, like, because I usually get lots of those beautiful moments. So I put it together, and then sometimes they save it and give it to mom on birthday or whatever. But, I'm still making them little bits to have. But
question, do you chop them all together and, like, add audios and stuff? Or do you just, like, put them in together, like, kind of like curate them into little movies, and then they can kind of do audio things on their own?
I add the audio.
You do?
And then, if they, I always give them the choice. Do you want me to just load it onto, do you want this on Instagram?
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to share it? Do you want me to share it and then collaborate you so you don't have to worry about it? Or not, but they get it with the audio. I add the audio in so they can just look at it on their phone. And I mean, 98% of what I have captured and created is not on Instagram. It's just goes to them. They get it within a week, and that's that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but, like,
no, I mean, I would want to watch it with the music, right?
Yeah.
So I always
definitely.
make
I'm
it
thinking
for them
about,
with
like, the
music.
Mamma Mia, like, mother-daughter, when you said that song where they're like slipping through my fingers.
Oh my
Sorry,
goodness.
I'll just sing.
Y'all,
I'll
well,
just
you
make a
saw
band.
how I started today. Like, I cry through watching the videos back, the moments, being there in person. Like, I'm a hot mess, literally, and then making the videos and watching them back. I'm like, woo! There's so many beautiful moments on a wedding day. It's such a special, holy moment in the history of a family,
Yeah.
It's really.
I agree.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we get to do this, and what an honor it is, too.
It is. And, I mean, if you were capturing really expensive real estate, say, as a videographer, you're capturing other things in life. Like, there are other beautiful things you can capture, but something about the element of everyone is looking their best. Everyone is there for this, really special thing that kind of is timeless, because, marriage is not like a new concept or an old concept. It's a biblical concept. Then it's just like this sacred thing to be a part of. Everyone looks beautiful. All these creatives have come together to make it quite, special. And then we live here in Florida, where there's, like, just the views and the venues are all so incredible. Like, we're really lucky. It's really, really special.
Because I had just said that to Javi, like something similar. We were at a wedding, and I was like, I just love humanity. Like it's crazy to me that like there are so many people here that all got dressed up, look their best. They come to celebrate two people joining families, like, and then they just get to eat dinner and like dance. Like, how fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I just love that about like
It is.
life. Like, and then there's so many people that like went to work today, or like like probably went to work that day, or like us, like we're at the wedding.
Yeah.
But like, or you know, had other time, like there's so much life going on outside of this that's happening. I don't know, it's just so
No,
cool.
that is an interesting thing. Sometimes when I come home and my family gets, I'm sure, sick of hearing about weddings, because I want to tell them, like, you know, you get so connected to these people, and you know what a like special day it was for them. So to like just want to be able to say, like, you know, how cool is this that the dad came from so far away, or what, you know, whatever it is. It's like so special.
It is so special. It's so cool.
Well, I'm just excited for where 2025 is. I feel like this wedding content creator has taken a more, like, people understand a little bit that it's a thing. I mean, I've had to, you know, explain it quite a few times, and it really wasn't a thing for a long time that people understood. So just as it's like settling into something that people find a little more, there's a space for it, I guess.
The importance of it, the value of it.
Yeah, maybe just being able to enjoy that going forward, and just some absolutely special couples coming up. I don't know. They're all so wonderful, right? And yeah, I don't know. That's it's good. We could talk for a million years about all the stories and all the, you know,
Yeah, for
special
sure.
moments. Yeah. I'm kind of in a fun spot because sometimes I get hired by the other vendors. So like this weekend in the morning, I was at the at the like hair salon, watching the hair and makeup, like capturing them doing their thing. But I also got to interact with all the, you know, ladies getting ready, and you celebrate their day with them. And then in the afternoon, I was capturing a beautiful ceremony space and reception space for a planner. So to be able to also, you know, in those kind of cases, I say, like, what's the story that you want to tell? You know, what do you want your people who are following your page or might come across your page to know about you as a planner or as a makeup artist? Like, what sets you apart, and how can we tell that story? And it's just fun to be in this very creative space with so many talented people and get to support them in that way as well. You know what I mean?
When I think of content creators, and I think where's like the most value they can really add besides just a couple, truthfully, I really think is on the vendor side.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that is probably the biggest key, because there's so much more recurrent business.
Yeah.
Even if I'm thinking about it with vendors, than sometimes it is with the actual couple themselves. And I think, like, if I'm looking at it as a business perspective, it's like, okay, we got couples. That's always going to be one of those like one-off transactions, hopefully, right? Unless, you know, they can be referred out. But if I'm thinking about vendors, it's like, okay, how many vendor teams are here? How much value can I provide to each of these services? And then work on other events and network, and it just builds on to it. Where yours is just much, you know, in terms of deliverable, it's much faster. And everything is there. And so, but then you have to think about it. What's the intent and what's your approach? And is it fulfilling your purpose and why you're doing this too as well, besides just earning a paycheck?
Yeah.
That's where I believe, honestly, in terms of content creators, what's the angle of entry? Like, sure, you got couples, but these vendors, man, we all need content. We all need something to be able to market ourselves out. And if you can take that pressure off, it's much easier. And you hear the other term that other business owners are looking for, social media managers, is like, all right, I can get the content from you. Maybe I can create a few and edit a few for you that you can use that I think will be very well based on what you've communicated, what you described, that you value, what you want to share out to the world. And it's like, all right, bam. And then you eliminate, in a way, like, need of a social media manager, right? You just send me the thing, I'll post it, give me some tips, and let's see what it goes, right? And if anyone's going to have a recommendation they can trust will be of a content creator, especially if you can see that their own businesses has grown, like their following has grown, or their recommendations, their network has expanded, is because you're already doing that in that field, while a catering isn't doing that.
Right.
You know, a florist isn't doing that. They'll probably show a highlight, but are they communicating effectively? Of even a own videographer sometimes ain't gonna do it, because guess what? We already got tons of footage we're going through. We don't want to add another type of footage into the mix. I know that was the thing that held me back, right? And then you got photo too as well. It's like, all right, I can share my photos, but it's like I'm tired of just showing my photos. How can I show myself in a different light that's different?
Yeah, that, and you're each already doing a job
Exactly.
that you've honed in and spent the time putting into, doing that beautifully. So then on top of it also have to be thinking about what you're putting out there socially is a headache and a half. And I mean, I'm always like, if I go online, I'm seeing everyone else's stuff, and it's really hard to remember your own voice when you're hearing everyone else's, to just stay focused on like, what is my purpose and my role in this, what is it that I'm wanting to do, and who am I best suited for? That's who I'm talking to, and that's what I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Is hard for the best of us, let alone like, all that goes into being an entrepreneur, having your own business. And, I keep saying bartender because I have a few friends that they're doing a great job of communicating what they're doing, what they're offering. But I know how much work on the back end, and they're also like ordering enough drinks for 200 guests and trying to predict what kind of alcohol those people are most going to, in every single genre, every single business, they have a whole list to keep their business afloat, and then on top of it have to like show up the right way online and not be copying anyone else and be authentic. It's a ton.
It really is. And what's beautiful right now in terms of like where the content space is at, it's that more people are just wanting more raw moments, less edited versions, less production feeling. Even the edits, you think about short form content, it's like, all right, we're not wanting to watch a whole edit with a whole bunch of captions, like wait, like really quick, where you feel like, oh wow, you're left wondering like, what did I just experience? Like, I don't want to be on a roller coaster right now. I actually just want to chill, relax, and see what's happening, and laugh or cry or whatever it may be, what emotion you get from what you're watching. And that's where I see like the highlight space in terms of what you offer being the prime right now, not just for the couple side, but for that wedding vendor side, where it's like, man, like it would just make my life a little bit easier if do that, right? We hear about these, hey, who's a social media manager can you recommend? Who's this you can recommend? But then when you think about it, it's like, are they actually creating content, posting content? Like, and then you see their stuff and you're like, wait, you're charging this much, but I don't see your own page doing it, right?
Yeah.
Where a content creator, sure, you're doing it for other people, but I'm seeing your stuff and it's working.
Yeah, I mean, because you show up on a wedding day and everyone, if you haven't met them in real life and you've only been, like, let's say you didn't have a meeting with the couple ahead of time and you show up on the wedding day, right? You only know whatever you've seen on their Instagram of them, right? So if they talk a lot and whatever, maybe you kind of have an idea who they are, but you show up on a wedding day and you meet the girl who made the cake and you see, she's dropping her baby off that she just spent all this time and energy and months planning for. She's dropping it off. She doesn't even get to see it in action. She does not get to see the masterpiece in its spot with the flowers around it and the couple enjoying it. She doesn't get to see that.
Yeah.
But I do. I get to see that, and I get to, share that with her, like, send it to her, say like, they loved your cake, and there's like a little clip really of sweet. The grooms saying, the grooms usually say the cutest things about the cake after the, photo's been taken, like, oh yeah, that's really good or whatever. So, I have the opportunity to then bless her with that little clip and say like, they loved your cake and it was absolutely beautiful. Like, what you do is really important. Yeah. And that's really rewarding to be able to be their eyes on the day, because we're lucky. We get to see everything. The planner doesn't even get to see the person they've been working with so closely. They're not in the getting ready suite. They don't get to see so much of the day, So even to send them a little photo saying like, everything looks so beautiful, like, great job, And then, yeah, if I'm able to help, to say to them like, hey, you're really good at this. Like, you should be sharing about this on your social media. You should be telling future clients that, you know, you're super fun and relaxed, or whatever it is, like that you pay attention to the details and you get it done or whatever, and be
Yeah.
like, that's what you should be saying, you know, to be able to give them little like ideas of what I notice about you.
Yeah.
That's what your people who are like, is this the one I want to hire or not, maybe want to hear, you know?
And I want to follow up with
Yeah.
that too. What advice would you tell to wedding vendors in terms of when you're posting content, what type of content, what would you, any words of advice or wisdom that you provide to help? Because you see it from your perspective, and that would help then for couples to see it for themselves and make it much resonate with, oh, this is who I am, besides just always showing the final product.
Yeah, I mean, I think figuring out who you are and what your ideal couples, you know, that you have worked with, where you were like, wow, that all really came together. You know, I was the right person for that job for them that day, and they were like, you know, the best kind of vibes for us. Figuring out who and what that is, and then what it is that made you guys be such a good fit, and then communicating that. I don't know, it's tricky, you know. If you're like loud and crazy, then that's what you need to be showing, because there are couples that want that. They want that on their wedding day, someone bringing the energy and whatever. If you're, you know, quiet and more reserved, then showing that. It's the hardest thing ever to put yourself. I just saw that I'm on this screen. Like, it's the hardest thing ever, but the right people are going to see your actual face and your actual voice and your actual personality and be like, oh, that's someone that I would like to have on a wedding day, you know? Or maybe that isn't quite the fit for me, but showing up as your real, true self and what your values are in your business, knowing what they are and being able to communicate them regularly. And the one that I always hear is the price. Everyone wants to know like a average spend, like what is it going to cost to have you? There's a lot of content creators now. I mean, people are charging not very much to show up and be on a wedding day every single day. I'm charging more than that. And why? Why would you want to pay me to be there as opposed to someone who's going to charge you $300? Or what is it that I'm offering? You know, what am I bringing to the table that might be of value to you? I think is the goal of any business, to really, know who you are and what you're doing, what you're offering.
Yeah, and what you're worth, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Bigger the problem, usually bigger the reward with it too, as well.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I mean, I love what you mentioned there, because to end it off, it would say, it's like, all right, if you have this problem, I have the solution for you. And if it matches where it's like, okay, I'm like the perfect fit for this problem, then hey, let's work together, because you can have full confidence that I'm going to provide you that solution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, tell me a little bit more about your business, the key players who are involved. Is it just yourself? Is there any team behind you? And how do you guys operate just here in Florida or any other states?
Yeah, so I'm Colleen. I'm the mom. And then 3 of my daughters do this with me. And Michaela is here in Florida with me. And then Miley and Maddie are in North Carolina, in Wilmington, cute little town by the beach. I think they shot Outer Banks in Wilmington, so
wow.
super
Yep.
cute place. Anyways, and Miley and Maddie will fly down if we have, you know, those wedding weekends where it's like November 4th, November 2nd this year, I think. We had multiple weddings going on at once. So the girls are capable to do a wedding by themselves. They've done lots of weddings also with me. And they all each bring something different, which is so cute. Obviously they don't have the like age that I have, but Michaela is like very organized and like prioritized, and she never misses a beat. And then Miley is a bridal stylist by day, like she sells wedding dresses, so she's very much sees the details, and she can, you know, sew you into your dress if you need it. She's just fabulous on that fashion front. And then Maddie's like an empath. She feels deeply and she sees the cutest, sweetest moments. So it's kind of cool to see. One time they all three were at one wedding and seeing the footage from 3 different perspectives of my own, here I go again, my
Oh,
own,
that's so sweet.
Oh.
children and what they each, bring is just really was such a blessing. Yeah. And to have grown people that you trust enough to show up to the business that you really have built and love so much, and know that they'll take care of the couple the way you would because you raised them.
Yeah.
It's pretty special.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and like they were all ballerinas. So we did the dance studio for years and years and years, and all the performances and all those moments together. So
Yeah, and Dance Mom is a full-time job. My mom
Dance-
can attest.
Dance Mom is like a thing, and I feel like it sets you up in life for a lot of toughness. I don't know the word for it, to be a dance mom, and show up. Girls are not always happy backstage, and the hair doesn't always go right, and all those things. But the way that translates to a wedding day, and just being able to show up for those girls, for the brides, and read the room of what their presence of the other people in the room, how it's affecting them positively, negatively, where there might need to be a little buffer or whatever. Well, growing up in House of Girls, we and the dance world, we kind of get that. It's definitely lends to knowing how to handle some of those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And having your daughters too be a part of your business, and like it shows through what you've already talked about, like on this podcast, like where your heart is, you know what I mean? Like how that means so much to you, your family, and then taking that into somebody else's family is really beautiful. And that just shows your intention behind what you do and your heart. So thank you for being vulnerable with us.
Yeah, I love it. You had someone on and they were talking about their favorite photo, the grandpa.
Oh yeah.
And and I have a favorite
Cheyenne, she's the
reel, and it's a compilation of mother-daughter moments. And for me, that really, even when there's not a mom, there's always a sister or an auntie or some woman in the bride's life that really, is there. And it's just very beautiful. Not to diminish all the other people who are there on a wedding day, but there's something, I have a really soft spot for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing beats mother-daughter relationships or just like womanhood in general. Girlhood, womanhood.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. Sorry you can't relate on this front, although I know you have a daughter, so you're good at listening and acknowledging. You're going to need to continue that into the next 20 years.
Oh, yeah. It's the reason why I'm in the wedding world.
Yeah.
It's like I'm being prepared for all of this. And having a daughter, definitely, like, seeing my son and daughter is like a different relationship. And it's like with her, it's like, okay, being her protector, letting her know how she's loved and she's cared for. And then even with seeing my wife and my son and the way their relationship are. And I remember with me and my mom, it's like, okay, being heard or being talked through and encouraging and building up, and you do it, but in different ways. And each parent has that different responsibility of how to do that for their child and tailor it to them, because each kid is very different, as you would know.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
so, and so it's a beautiful testament to be able to see that. And that's why, like, when you are a parent and then you go to these weddings, it's like the perspectives really do change, and how you film and your approach and your reasoning behind why you're doing this.
Yeah.
If I'm gone every weekend filming tons of weddings, like, I'm missing all those moments with my own child.
Absolutely.
I'm there during the week, but I guess I still have a business to run. I still have to edit, and I still have to do these things where I miss out on a lot of things, and it's like, all right, so if I am in this business owner, if I'm going to do this for a long time, because I am very passionate, I might as well design it in a way that can create at least some sense of balance, that I can have time with my family, not miss those moments, be in control, and at the same time, create these amazing films for these couples But with this added perspective, I can now deliver something that's even better because I've have this different viewpoint that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, I mean, you're probably thinking one day you'll do a father-daughter dance, a
oh yeah,
speech, all those things. Like you can put yourself into their
very much.
experience so
And
much more.
one thing I always do is ask the father of the bride. It's like, hey, how do you feel right now? Yeah, any words of wisdom for me? My daughter's about to be 2, and I got a long ways to go, but any words of wisdom? And I get all different types of advice. And then even moms, like I remember my mother in Sundance, and just when my mom letting me know, it's like, hey, treat her well, be kind, be patient, and like all those little things in between. And it's important. And so that was one perspective when I first started, and I got married myself, and then we started having kids, and things really started changing.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing that you just evolve and grow as a person. And so when you are doing your work, and sometimes couples may not understand if they're not in that stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like when I say these things, it's not for me to sell to you. It's what I actually value. And
Yeah.
what's my ethos and how I go about my life, my day to day, my actions.
Yeah.
Because if I'm here for your event, it's not because I just want to earn a paycheck or a living. I actually care about what I do. And
Yeah.
I'm not here just to be this videographer. It's like, no, I actually want to preserve these memories and care for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do it the best of my abilities, because if I'm going to be away from my kids, I might as well do it to the best I can.
Yeah.
And make sure that I represent not just my company, but my last name, and carry it to that high standard, so that they know as they're growing up, like, hey, this is going to fall on you and your responsibility too, for whatever you choose to do in your own life. But and how I conduct myself and how I do my thing, it's that reminder, and it's allow me to connect with couples and let them know it's like I'm genuine in what I do. I'm not putting a front. This is who I am. So when I say these things and you take the time to get to know me and I'm getting to know you, it's like I appreciate you, that you value me, that you're willing to support my family by how you pay me. You know, that's that. And I'm willing to go above and beyond behind the scenes no matter what, because life, you know, we're all thrown into this life. And sometimes we forget that the other person we're hiring has a life. And so, hey, we're making sure that you're the priority as well, and not just treating it like a job. It's a sacred moment that I was there hired for.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. And treating it as that, and showing up even once, you know, the wedding day is the easy part.
Yeah.
Really. The wedding day then is followed up by, you know, whatever it is that you're delivering, to not see it as a checklist or like a check off, like, okay, I got through that wedding day. It's not that, you know, it's caring for their final product. So mine gets delivered a little faster than yours does.
Yeah.
But it's followed with a now forever relationship, because I have permission to use their images for content online, whatever. And, you know, some of them really love it. They really would love it if their video goes viral. Others, not so much. And when I can see something's doing really well, and I know that couple they don't want the attention, you know, and the negative attention comes sometimes because people on the internet are so weird, right? So then it's following up with the couple, because that wasn't the point of me being there, was to go viral at all. But, you know, hey, is this something that you want? I don't need this to stay up there. Like, people are liking it, but there's all, you know, look at the comments and see if that's something you want. I'm thinking in particular, one bride did the haircut, you know.
Oh,
At
yeah,
the
yeah,
wedding.
yeah.
And she came out with the short hair, and it was adorable. But, you know, people can't just leave it at that was really fun for that couple. They have to say, I would never do that. That's a terrible haircut. You know, all the things. Yeah. And then I feel like, you know, the relationship and the trust that you build with the couple then means, what are you willing to do about that? You know, do you want that video there? Do you want me to take that video down, even though it's, you know?
I think people really just need to remember, like, we're humans. We're not like, being a believer and being a Christian is for me, is understanding is like, we're not perfect. Like, if you want to create something perfect, like, there's only one God for that. And so when we put ourselves in that seat that we just want to illustrate perfectionism all throughout, well, guess what? We're going to fail. We're going to disappoint. It's like, let's just appreciate humanity for what we are, for what we've actually, these little moments, these things are happening. Like wedding is a joyous occasion to be able to celebrate this beautiful covenant that we're making in front one of God and our family and friends, that like, look, like everybody's different. We're designed differently. We have all different giftings. So let's just appreciate on this wedding day. And we just leave that out and forget that part. And so when we're looking for this perfectionism, and we just, our minds quickly go into that criticizing moment, rather than just like, you know what, like, let me take a step back. Not what I would have done, but I can appreciate their boldness to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, people wouldn't have liked what I did. Like my wife, we got married. And when we got married, maybe like 2 months afterwards, she watched a movie, was very inspired, and she wanted to cut off all her hair. Like, I'm not talking about like cutting it like there. I'm like, my hair, that short. I'm like, all right, I got you, babe. And I just went, cut her hair. And for me, it was like, we didn't record it or anything. We took photos afterwards. She definitely cried afterwards. I'm sorry, boo. But for me, it's like, I don't see the beauty in her hair. You know, I know for women, that's a very high value staking that she holds it to her. But I'm like, nah, I love you for who you are. You know, the physical, it is what it is. Like, if your hair is gone, like, I'm here until you're 100 or when we pass away, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so that was one of the beauty parts. Like, let's just appreciate humanity for what it is and for who we are. And everybody has their own quirkiness that we can appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely a message I'm trying to get out there, or trying to always wrestle with, is like, it's easy to put beautiful moments up on the internet. It's really easy when you're at weddings in Florida. They're all beautiful. There's so many beautiful, perfect things that I've captured, so many. But that's not fair to, the girl who has a reasonable budget in a town that isn't by the ocean, and her priority is to celebrate her wedding day in the church where she grew up that has red carpet. She might not be having a wedding that is picture perfect, but that day is everything for them, and it should be celebrated as such. So finding the balance between like, sharing like, here's some fun ideas that you can do for your wedding, but this doesn't mean now you need to do this for your wedding, or that your wedding is going to look like this, and that it's bad if it isn't. Yeah. It breaks my heart when I'm on a call with a like potential client, and they're like, oh, well, my wedding's not going to be like as pretty as some of the ones that you're at. I'm like, girl, do you think that's the point? Because it totally isn't. And like, I don't care where I show up. I'm showing up for you guys, and I want to see the prettiest shots of the couple is when they aren't thinking about being photographed, and they're just able to be together and in the moment. And trying to flip that script now that there's content creators at weddings. Yeah. That's why I wish there was like a little bit different name. I don't know. Like, I don't want to add pressure to a bride on her wedding day that it has to look or whatever, be a certain way.
This is where we just got to be the disruptor, right? We have to be the ones to be able to put out there. And if like there's this narrative, how can we write this and work at it to change it?
Yeah, it's a different, unique. Yeah,
it's what we're doing here with this podcast. It's like, all right, we have all these different wedding vendors, different things, and they're doing their cool things. But I'm like, there's not a podcast where in terms of our values that we have is out there that's being seen or showcased. Like, our goal is to really, for us, is really to live out Proverbs 27:17. It's like, hey, we want to sharpen one another. We want to help build one another. We want, and that is not just for our relationship as friends or, the close network. It's like, there's a lot other people out there, and like, how can we give a voice to? How can we improve this industry as a whole and take it away and falling into this trap? Like, oh, we need to do it how like these people are saying, because they're the ones out there and you only see them, but you don't see the other ones. And it's like, and it comes to like, all right, if you're gonna have to join the fight, you're gonna have to use the tools and mechanisms that we have at our disposal and start communicating and let it out. And I think that's a great value in terms of a great step forward right now is you being being on this podcast, sharing your intentionality, your purpose behind what you're doing, in the reasoning of like, look, I'm a content creator. That's what they call me, but it's not who I really am in my approach and how I do the things. And there's so much more to this than just that label. And that's one of the things for us for wedding videography. Like, we're trying to push out like, okay, like luxury isn't always the thing. It's about the approach, the why behind everything you do. And we live very with materialistic things and just wanting our own egos or our own things to be lifted up rather than like, hey, let's just appreciate this gift that we have.
Yeah.
That God has given us that we're using, and also to highlight these couples, and serving is the ultimate real goal.
Yeah.
You know, and sure, we all got needs. Everyone has needs. But it's like, what are you living out that purpose that God gave you the gift for?
For sure.
And you're doing it wisely.
All right. That's about all we have time for on this episode of the podcast. Colleen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart. Where can they find you on socials?
Yeah, it's at Velzy Co on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, whatever.
Love it. Javi, where can they find you?
At sundialcreatives.com or at sundial.creatives on Instagram.
And you can find me at Ashley Jade Photography LLC on Instagram, TikTok, and on my website. And then you can find us at the 2717 podcast on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen. I don't know and I don't care, but we love that you're here. And if you like us, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review. We are so thankful that you've tuned into another episode, and we can't wait to talk to you in the next one. So with that being said, bye.